The EFS lens mount is dead. Canon has discontinued it, so the lenses that are out there are what's to choose from, and Canon made a total of 24 EFS lenses. These covered 9 different focal ranges and 3 focal lengths, and that's because a lot of them are just updated versions over and over and over again. They were used on 35 different cameras, so there's quite a few of them out there that you might get, and that also spans different price ranges, whereas in an inexpensive camera, like I have the first one to use the EFS lens mount, the Digital Rebel or 300D, I wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on a lens for this camera, but some of the later and higher end models you may want to. So you're going to want to keep in mind that EFS lenses cannot be used on full frame cameras. So if the camera has an EF lens mount, you will not be able to stick one of these lenses on it, and that kind of takes away from your upgradability in a sense, but I never thought it was that big of a deal. But it is kind of a bummer because Nikon and Sony both allow that to be done with their cameras. There are 2 things I think you should pay attention to when looking for a lens. The first is that you're going to want it to have some sort of image stabilization. This is going to help you get faster shutter speed, so that'll improve the sharpness of your images because camera shake won't come into effect as soon. Or additionally, you'll be able to use a lower ISO, so you'll get cleaner looking images, and that can be helpful for some of the older cameras that don't have very good high ISO performance. And then the next thing you're going to want to pay attention to is the type of focus motor that is in the lens. So there are lenses that don't have any sort of abbreviation or fancy motor in them, and those are going to be the slowest and the loudest. The next option is going to be USM, which stands for ultrasonic motor, and these lenses have the fastest and most accurate autofocus speed. So these are going to be ones you're going to want to use for photography, especially if you're wanting to shoot like sports or action, something with fast moving subjects. The STM stands for stepper motor, and these are good for video because they're very quiet, and so it'll be able to focus while you're shooting video and not have that noise carry over and get picked up by the microphone. The first lens that I'm going to recommend is one of the 9 versions of the 18 to 55 millimeter kit zoom. This was sold with all the entry-level DSLRs that Canon made, and there are just so many out there that it's really easy to get a very good deal on them. You will want to pay special attention to the faceplate on the lens when you're buying them and looking in photos, because people will often list these incorrectly because there's so many versions. It's easy to get confused. Does it have image stabilization? Does it not? And people can price lenses without those features that you want, and so you can just run away with an absolute steal. It's by far the best price to performance, and if you have a camera without a lens, grab one of these. It's the cheapest way to get going and starting to have fun with your camera. My next recommendation is going to take care of one of the shortcomings that people are going to run into with the 18 to 55 is that it doesn't have enough telephoto reach for things like maybe birds, your kid playing sports, any sort of action, things that are far away. And that's going to be the 55 to 250 millimeter. All 3 versions have image stabilization, so you don't need to worry about that. And you should be able to find them for $150 or less. And these are lenses that you can search around for and find a really great deal on. If you want more reach than that, my advice is going to be to jump to an EF lens. In this case, either the Canon 70 to 300 or Tamron 70 to 300. The Canon, you're going to want the first version, and the Tamron the second. Tamron has VC, which is vibration compensation, which is their name for optical image stabilization. So both these are going to be a little bit better than the 55 to 250, and both of these should be able to be found for under $250. And what's nice about these is you can take these and also use them on a full frame camera. So if there's an upgrade in your future, or you collect cameras and you want to have several of them, this is going to work, and I think they're a little better value. I'm going to go pretty quickly through these next 6 lenses. They have a larger standard zoom range, but they're also going to be heavier and a little cumbersome, and I think you might be better off with 2 different lenses. But if you only wanted 1 lens and you wanted to just carry that around and be done with it, these would be generally good options. First is the 7285, and this is a lens from 2004, so the resolving power is not going to be great. It is inexpensive, so it has that going for it. A step up from that is going to be the 15-85. This was released in 2009, and you can find it for under $250. Which is nice about this one is that it's not going to be obscenely large like the next 2 I'm going to mention. There are 3 versions of the 18 to 135 millimeter lens. They all have image stabilization. You get to pick your motor type. However, they're going to run into the size and weight problem where this is probably not a lens you're going to want to carry around all day. And then next, the 18 to 200 millimeter super zoom. This is going to be large and cumbersome. It's not going to be fun to carry around all day. And the image quality at the wide and the telephoto lens, probably not going to be great. So, I don't think it's a great lens to buy. And that's because a lot of these lenses are overshadowed by the Canon 17 to 55 f2.8 or the Sigma 18 to 50 f2.8. And that wider fixed aperture is going to make your life so much easier. You can find them both for under $250, and these are going to be the lenses that are ideal for video use, especially if you have a model that is compatible with Magic Lantern, third-party software that will turn your camera into a cinema camera, give you a lot more control. These are the ones that I would want to invest in. They're going to be great for any of the EFS cameras. And if you pair them with one of the 70 to 300 lenses, I think you're going to have a better kit than one of the 6 I previously mentioned. For a wide-angle lens, you're going to want to go with the 10 to 18 millimeter. This is a newer lens, and it has better image quality than the other option, the 10 to 22 millimeter. And both of these are around the same price, which is $200. And then we get to the last 3 lenses, which are primes. The go-to one would be the 24 millimeter f2.8 pancake lens. And what's nice about this is you can find it for under $150. It's very thin. Slap it on your camera, and you're good to go for things like street or snapshots. It's going to make the camera smaller, easy to carry around, and more discreet. Then there are 2 different macro lenses, a 60 and a 35. I would go with the 60 millimeter if you want to get 1-to-1 macro reproduction, but it's like $400, which is expensive. And the 35 millimeter is going to be better for like tabletop photography, where you don't need that 1-to-1 macro, but you do want to be able to focus closer. My issue with these 2 lenses is they're about $400, and that's a little expensive compared to Nikon or Micro Four Thirds options, where you might be buying a whole setup for the cost of those lenses. The third-party options are Tokina with a 35 millimeter f2.8 macro, which can be had for under $100, which is pretty impressive, and a Tamron SP 60 millimeter f2, which is going to be under $200, and this is probably the lens that I would go for. So that's pretty much it. One EF lens that I would recommend would be the 50 1.8 STM. I have it on my 5D Mark II here, which is a full frame camera, but on an EFS body, it's going to be a very compelling portrait lens. They're inexpensive, they're easier to find, but beyond that, it gets to the point where I really feel like you'd be better off upgrading to a full frame camera unless there's a very specific use case you have, or it's one of the few higher end EFS bodies. I really wish there was more to talk about, but Canon heavily market segmented their cameras to where all the cool stuff and all the fun stuff are EF mount lenses. And when that's the case, I think you're just so much better off using a full frame body for them. So I will have videos covering the EF lenses, and I'm sure that'll be more exciting because I'll have to break them up because there's hundreds of those things. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't. I'll be covering more, cheap, older, low-end camera gear that you can have a lot of fun with and still produce great work.